We begin tonight with those words from President Biden behind closed doors, but they made immediate news. The president warning the risk of nuclear Armageddon has not been this high since the Cuban Missile Crisis, amid the threats from Vladimir Putin. The president saying Putin is not joking. As the Russians face serious setbacks in Ukraine, President Biden saying the threat of the use of nuclear weapons has not been this high since Kennedy and Cuba. President Biden also acknowledging the administration is asking what so many around the world, what so many here in the U.S. are asking. President Biden asking, quote, what is Putin's off-ramp? Our chief White House correspondent, Cecilia Vega, leading us off tonight from the White House.
Tonight, with the war going badly for Russia,
Slava Ukraini.
The strongest warning yet from President Biden, saying when Vladimir Putin threatens to use nuclear weapons, he, quote, is not joking. No cameras allowed in the New York City fundraiser, but the White House confirming the president went on to say, quote, we have not faced the prospect of Armageddon since Kennedy and the Cuban Missile Crisis. The U.S. has repeatedly warned Russia that using nuclear weapons on the battlefield would trigger catastrophic consequences. President Biden also telling the crowd that Putin's army is, quote, significantly underperforming. And that if he is backed into a corner, the president says Putin may turn to chemical and biological weapons or unleash a nuclear attack. But today, the White House seeming to try and downplay the president's stark warning, with multiple officials going on the record to say they see no intelligence that the Kremlin is preparing to use nuclear weapons imminently. In Ukraine tonight, President Zelensky saying he does not believe Russia is ready to use nuclear arms yet, but that Moscow is laying the groundwork with the Russian public.
They begin to prepare their society. That is very dangerous.
And the risk grows the more Russia falls back on the battlefield. Ukraine says 200 square miles of its territory and dozens of settlements have been retaken in the south in just the last week. And in the east, Ukrainian forces are also advancing. Our Ian Panel has been reporting on the devastation left in the wake of the Russian retreat.
The level of destruction in this town is truly shocking. Every single building has been razed to the ground. Because when the Russians came in here, they didn't just fire on the Ukrainian military. They deliberately destroyed every single building. And this is a policy that's been carried out across Ukraine, a policy of scorched earth.
Inside Russia, Putin's war is facing growing public and now private criticism. According to the Washington Post, a member of Putin's inner circle voiced disagreement directly to the Russian president over mistakes and mismanagement in the war. The Post says the criticism was deemed so significant, it was included in President Biden's daily intelligence briefing.
That's really striking. Cecilia Vega with us live from the White House tonight. Cecilia, two quick questions for you. First, there are these reports that the U.S. government has now purchased a significant supply of drugs to treat acute radiation syndrome, some $290 million worth of these drugs. Obviously, news of this purchase comes at this moment of heightened concern. So what are officials saying about why they made the purchase?
Yeah, David, the timing certainly raising eyebrows given these threats from Russia right now. But look, officials say that this purchase was part of ongoing security measures. Essentially, we're talking about the government making a purchase of these drugs in the event of nuclear emergencies. This is something they do often, David.
Often, but still rattling given the timing of all this. Cecilia, back to what you reported there. In the president's speech last night, President Biden saying that the U.S. is still trying to figure out what Putin's, quote, off-ramp is to get out of this conflict. This is a question being asked really by leaders around the world.
Yeah, and frankly, David, President Biden himself seemed pretty perplexed by this. He asked out loud to this group of donors, how is Putin going to get out of this, given the loss of power, given the war there? He doesn't necessarily see an off-ramp. But, David, right now, it really is worth repeating that U.S. officials are saying of this nuclear threat, as of tonight, they see no change in Russia's nuclear posture and that the U.S. government is not changing its at this point either, David.
All right, Cecilia Vega leading us off on a Friday night. Cecilia, thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.